The fundamental misconception that pervades human consciousness is the belief that existence operates like a linear narrative with predetermined chapters, climactic moments, and satisfying conclusions. This perspective transforms our daily experience into a perpetual state of anticipation, always reaching toward some imaginary finish line that promises fulfillment, meaning, or validation. Yet this approach to living fundamentally misunderstands the nature of conscious experience itself. Consider how we engage with artistic expression, particularly musical performance. When a pianist sits before their instrument, they don't approach the keys with the singular goal of reaching the final note as quickly as possible. The value doesn't reside in the conclusion, but in the unfolding of sound, rhythm, and harmony throughout the entire composition. Each moment of the performance carries intrinsic worth, each phrase contributes to the whole, and the beauty emerges from the seamless flow of present-moment awareness translated into audible form. This musical metaphor reveals something profound about optimal human functioning. We speak of playing an instrument, never working an instrument, because the activity itself embodies the joy and fulfillment we seek. The pianist doesn't suffer through scales and arpeggios merely to arrive at some future state of musical competence. Rather, they find satisfaction in the immediate tactile sensation of fingers meeting keys in the resonance that fills the space around them, in the gradual development of technical facility that unfolds naturally through consistent engagement. Dancing provides another illuminating parallel. When two people move together across a dance floor, they aren't trying to reach a specific corner of the room or achieve some predetermined final position. The entire purpose exists in the movement itself, in the synchronization of bodies responding to rhythm, in the wordless communication that flows between partners, in the pure physicality of being fully present within their own skin. The dance succeeds not by arriving somewhere else, but by fully inhabiting the space and time it occupies. These artistic activities demonstrate a mode of being that prioritizes process over product, present engagement over future achievement. They suggest that fulfillment comes not from reaching destinations, but from the quality of attention we bring to whatever we're currently experiencing. Yet somehow, our educational systems, social structures, and cultural narratives consistently promote the opposite approach. From our earliest years, we're introduced to frameworks that emphasize progression, advancement, and goal attainment. The educational pipeline begins with kindergarten, explicitly designed as preparation for first grade, which exists primarily to prepare students for second grade and so forth through an elaborate sequence of prerequisites and achievements. Each level promises that the next will be more meaningful, more important, more worthy of our effort and attention. Students learn to view their current experience as merely instrumental, valuable only insofar as it serves future objectives. Elementary school becomes about preparing for middle school. Middle school focuses on high school readiness. High school revolves around college admission, and undergraduate education aims toward graduate programs or career entry. Throughout this entire progression, the present moment, the actual lived experience of learning, growing, and developing gets consistently devalued in favor of hypothetical future rewards. This conditioning creates adults who approach their entire lives as extended preparation periods. They endure jobs they dislike while saving for retirement, postpone experiences they desire until they achieve financial security, delay pursuing their authentic interests until they complete various obligations and responsibilities. The result is a population of people perpetually living in an imaginary future, never quite arriving at the life they've been working toward. The professional world amplifies these tendencies through elaborate systems of advancement, promotion, and recognition, Career paths become games with clearly defined levels, achievements to unlock, and metrics to optimize. Employees chase quotas, pursue raises, accumulate credentials, and climb hierarchical ladders, always focused on the next rung, rather than finding satisfaction in their current position and responsibilities. This goal-oriented mindset creates a peculiar, psychological state where happiness and fulfillment become contingent upon external circumstances aligning with predetermined expectations. People convince themselves that they'll finally feel content once they reach a certain income level, achieve a particular professional status, acquire specific possessions, or attain various forms of social recognition. The present moment becomes nothing more than a stepping stone toward these imagined future states. The tragedy becomes apparent when individuals actually achieve their long-sought objectives. After decades of sacrifice, delayed gratification, and single-minded pursuit, they discover that reaching their goals doesn't fundamentally alter their internal experience. The promotion they worked toward for years provides momentary satisfaction before revealing itself as simply another step in an endless sequence. The retirement they saved for arrives, accompanied by physical limitations, social isolation, and the realization that they've spent their most energetic years preparing for a future that ultimately disappoints. This pattern reflects a profound misunderstanding about the nature of human satisfaction. We treat life as though it were a problem to be solved, a destination to be reached, or a game to be won, when in reality, it's more accurately understood as an ongoing creative expression, like an improvised musical performance that has no predetermined conclusion. The alternative approach involves recognizing that each moment contains its own completeness, its own potential for meaning and fulfillment. Rather than constantly reaching toward imaginary future states, we can learn to find richness in present circumstances, regardless of how they compare to our projected ideals. This doesn't mean abandoning all planning or preparation, but rather maintaining awareness that planning itself can be engaging and worthwhile, separate from whatever outcomes it might produce. When we observe children at play, we see this natural capacity for present moment engagement. A child building with blocks isn't primarily focused on completing a specific structure. They're absorbed in the immediate tactile pleasure of stacking, balancing, and creating. They find joy in the process itself, and when the tower inevitably falls, they often laugh and begin building again, demonstrating an intuitive understanding that the value resided in the activity rather than the end result. This childlike capacity for absorption and present moment awareness represents our most natural way of being before cultural conditioning teaches us to constantly evaluate our current experience against future possibilities. We can cultivate this awareness deliberately, learning to approach our daily activities with the same quality of attention we might bring to listening to beautiful music or watching a sunset. The shift involves recognizing that consciousness itself is the fundamental gift, and that whatever forms it takes, whether pleasant or challenging, familiar or novel, simple or complex, all represent opportunities for full engagement. Rather than treating difficult experiences as obstacles to be overcome en route to better circumstances, we can approach them as integral parts of the human symphony, contributing their own unique textures and meanings to the overall composition. This perspective transforms everything. Work becomes an opportunity for creative expression and skill development rather than merely a means to financial ends. Relationships become chances for authentic connection and mutual exploration rather than vehicles for getting specific needs met. Even mundane activities like cooking, cleaning, or commuting can become occasions for mindful presence and appreciation. The ultimate recognition is that we're already living the life we've been preparing for. This moment, with all its imperfections and limitations, represents the culmination of everything that has led to this point. The music is playing right now, and our choice is whether to dance or to keep waiting for a better song to begin. Consider how radically different life becomes when we embrace this musical understanding of existence. Instead of waking each morning with a mental checklist of tasks to complete and goals to achieve, we might approach the day as a blank canvas awaiting creative expression. The commute to work transforms from a necessary evil into an opportunity for contemplation, observation, or simple presence. The work itself, rather than being endured for the sake of future rewards, becomes a venue for developing competence, contributing value, and engaging with others in meaningful ways. This shift in perspective doesn't require changing external circumstances. It involves altering our relationship to whatever circumstances already exist. The person stuck in traffic can choose to experience frustration at the delay, or they can use the unexpected pause as a chance to notice their breathing, observe the sky, or appreciate the remarkable complexity of human civilization that makes traffic jams possible in the first place. Both responses are available in the same moment, but they create entirely different qualities of experience. The fear that often arises when people encounter this perspective is that abandoning goal-oriented thinking will lead to laziness, complacency, or lack of achievement. This concern reflects our deep conditioning around productivity and progress, but it misunderstands how intrinsic motivation actually functions. When people engage fully with their present experience, they naturally develop skills, create value, and contribute to their communities, not because they're forcing themselves toward predetermined outcomes, but because engaged presence naturally expresses itself through constructive activity. Musicians who approach their instruments with playful curiosity, rather than grim determination, tend to develop more quickly and sustainably than those who treat practice as pure drudgery. Athletes who find joy in movement and physical challenge often surpass those who focus solely on winning competitions. Students who become genuinely interested in their subjects frequently outperform those who study merely to achieve grades. The paradox is that focusing on the process rather than the outcome often produces better outcomes while creating much more enjoyable experience along the way. This principle extends to virtually every domain of human activity. Entrepreneurs who love solving problems and creating value tend to build more successful businesses than those motivated purely by financial rewards. Parents who enjoy spending time with their children and find fulfillment in nurturing their development create stronger family relationships than those who parent primarily out of duty or social expectation. Even household maintenance becomes more pleasant and effective when approached as an opportunity for caring attention rather than a series of chores to be completed. The transformation involves learning to see our daily lives as improvisational performances rather than scripted productions. Jazz musicians provide a perfect example of this approach. They begin with basic structures and themes, but the real magic emerges through spontaneous response to what's happening in the moment. They listen deeply to their fellow performers, remain open to unexpected developments, and contribute their own unique voice to the evolving musical conversation. The result is something that couldn't have been planned or predicted, yet often surpasses anything that careful pre-composition might have produced. Human life offers the same improvisational possibilities. We can approach our relationships, careers, creative projects, and personal development with the same combination of skill and spontaneity that characterizes great jazz performance. This requires developing competence in relevant areas while maintaining flexibility and responsiveness to emerging opportunities and challenges. We prepare ourselves not to execute predetermined plans, but to respond creatively to whatever situations arise. The educational system, despite its flaws, actually provides valuable preparation for this improvisational approach to living, though not in the ways it intends. The problem isn't that students learn skills, acquire knowledge, or develop discipline. These capabilities enhance their ability to respond creatively to life's challenges. The problem is the underlying message that these preparations are only valuable insofar as they lead to specific external rewards rather than being intrinsically worthwhile and immediately applicable to creating meaningful experience. A mathematics student who approaches algebra as a fascinating exploration of abstract relationships will have a fundamentally different experience than one who views it merely as a requirement for advancing to the next grade level. Both might achieve similar test scores, but their relationship to learning challenge and intellectual curiosity will be profoundly different. The first student develops confidence in their ability to engage with complex ideas, while the second learns to tolerate difficulty only when it serves external goals. This difference in approach creates cascading effects throughout a person's life. Those who learn to find inherent satisfaction in engaging with challenges tend to remain curious, adaptable, and resilient throughout their adult years. They approach new situations with interest rather than anxiety, view setbacks as information rather than failures, and maintain enthusiasm for growth and development regardless of their age or circumstances. The alternative path leads to the common midlife experience of looking back with regret, feeling that life has somehow passed by without being fully lived. People describe feeling like spectators to their own existence, as though they were waiting in the wings for their real life to begin, while years and decades accumulated around them. They achieved many of the goals they set for themselves, acquired the possessions they desired, and reached the milestones they were taught to value, yet somehow the promised satisfaction remained elusive. This sense of having missed something essential, despite external success points to the inadequacy of goal-oriented approaches to human fulfillment. No amount of achievement can compensate for the habit of treating present experience as merely instrumental, because the capacity for satisfaction depends on our relationship to whatever is happening right now. Someone who has learned to find meaning only in future possibilities will feel empty regardless of how many of those possibilities they actually realize. The solution isn't to abandon all planning or goal setting, but to hold these activities lightly, as tools that serve present engagement rather than masters that dominate our attention. We can work toward future objectives while finding fulfillment in the work itself. We can save money for retirement while appreciating the security and options that saving provides right now. We can develop skills and knowledge while enjoying the immediate pleasure of learning and growth. This balanced approach requires distinguishing between healthy aspiration and compulsive striving. Healthy aspiration emerges from genuine interest and care. It feels expansive and energizing even when it involves significant effort or challenge. Compulsive striving stems from anxiety, inadequacy, or external pressure. It feels tight and draining, creating tension even when it produces desired results. Learning to recognize this difference allows us to pursue meaningful goals without sacrificing present moment awareness and satisfaction. The metaphor of life as music also suggests the importance of rhythm, variation, and harmony in creating fulfilling existence. Musical compositions include moments of intensity and relaxation, major and minor keys, solo passages, and ensemble sections. Similarly, fulfilling lives naturally include periods of focused activity and restful recovery times, of social engagement and solitary reflection, phases of stability and periods of change. Rather than trying to optimize for continuous productivity or constant happiness, we can learn to appreciate the full range of human experience as contributing to the richness of our personal symphony. This perspective transforms how we relate to aging, illness, loss, and other inevitable aspects of human existence. Instead of viewing these experiences as interruptions to our preferred life narrative, we can recognize them as integral movements in the ongoing composition of our lives. A piece of music that contained only major chords and upward melodic movement would quickly become boring. The minor keys and descending passages create contrast that makes the bright moments more meaningful and beautiful. The wisdom traditions of the world have consistently pointed toward this understanding, though often in language that can seem abstract or mystical to contemporary minds. When Zen teachers speak of beginner's mind or just sitting, they're describing the same quality of present moment engagement. Instead of organizing society around maximizing production and consumption, we might prioritize creating conditions that support present moment flourishing for all people. The environmental crisis provides a perfect example of how destination-oriented thinking creates problems that process-oriented awareness might solve. Our economic systems treat natural resources as inputs to be consumed in service of growth targets, viewing the planet itself as instrumental to human goals rather than recognizing our embeddedness within larger ecological relationships. A culture that found satisfaction in present engagement rather than constant expansion might naturally develop more sustainable ways of living, not out of grim duty, but from genuine appreciation for the beauty and complexity of the living world. The irony is that this shift in perspective, which seems to threaten our achievement-oriented culture, might actually unleash tremendous creative potential that's currently constrained by narrow focus on predetermined objectives. When people feel free to follow their genuine interests and develop their authentic capabilities, they often contribute far more value to their communities than when they're grinding toward externally imposed goals. The Renaissance provides a historical example. The explosion of artistic, scientific, and cultural innovation emerged from environments that supported curiosity and experimentation rather than purely instrumental education and labor. Personal transformation and social change thus become inseparable aspects of the same fundamental shift in consciousness. As individuals learn to find meaning in present experience, they naturally create families, organizations, and communities that reflect these values. They raise children who maintain their natural capacity for wonder and engagement. They start businesses that prioritize purpose alongside profit. They participate in political processes from genuine care for collective well-being rather than narrow self-interest. The music is indeed playing right now in this very moment, through the conversations we're having, the work we're doing, the relationships we're nurturing, and the simple fact of being conscious in a remarkably complex and beautiful universe. Our choice is whether to dance with whatever rhythms we encounter, or to keep waiting for conditions to become perfect enough to finally begin living fully. The dance floor is open, the band is performing, and every step we take contributes to the ongoing improvisation of human existence on this small planet spinning through space. This understanding invites us to reconsider everything we've been taught about success, progress, and the good life. Rather than measuring our worth through external achievements or future aspirations, we might evaluate the quality of our engagement with whatever we're currently experiencing. The executive who finds genuine satisfaction in solving complex problems contributes the same essential aliveness as the artist absorbed in creative expression, or the parent fully present with their child. The specific content matters less than the depth of presence we bring to our chosen activities. The implications extend far beyond individual psychology into questions of education, economics, and social organization. Educational institutions might prioritize developing students' capacity for engaged attention rather than focusing primarily on information transfer and credentialing. Economic systems might support meaningful work and community well-being rather than optimizing purely for growth and efficiency. Political structures might facilitate genuine dialogue and collaborative problem-solving rather than competitive positioning and power accumulation. None of these changes require waiting for systemic transformation. They begin with individual recognition that fulfillment is available right now in whatever circumstances we currently inhabit. The parent changing diapers can experience the same essential satisfaction as the artist completing a masterpiece if they bring the same quality of presence to their activity. The student struggling with difficult material can find the same joy in learning that characterizes great scholars if they approach their studies with curiosity rather than mere compliance. This perspective doesn't eliminate challenge, difficulty, or the need for skillful effort. Musicians spend countless hours developing technical facility, not because they dislike practice, but because greater competence allows for more sophisticated and satisfying expression. Athletes push their physical limits not to escape the present moment, but to explore the full potential of embodied existence. Scholars engage with complex ideas not to accumulate credentials, but to participate more fully in the ongoing human conversation about meaning, truth, and possibility. The difference lies in the motivation and quality of attention we bring to challenging activities. When effort emerges from genuine interest and care, it feels energizing and sustainable, even when it involves significant difficulty. When effort stems from external pressure or future-oriented anxiety, it becomes depleting and mechanical regardless of the outcomes it produces. Learning to recognize this distinction allows us to engage wholeheartedly with demanding tasks while maintaining the sense of play and discovery that makes such engagement intrinsically worthwhile. The fear of meaninglessness that drives much. Goal-oriented behavior actually dissolves when we recognize that meaning isn't something we achieve, but something we create through the quality of our attention and care. Every moment offers opportunities for meaningful engagement, whether we're solving technical problems, nurturing relationships, creating artistic expressions, or simply maintaining awareness of our breath and bodily sensations. The universe doesn't assign meaning to our activities. We discover and create meaning through how we choose to engage with whatever life presents to us. This recognition liberates us from the impossible task of justifying our existence through external accomplishments, while simultaneously making our contributions more authentic and effective. When we act from genuine care rather than compulsive, striving our efforts tend to be more creative, sustainable, and beneficial to others. The musician who plays from love of music creates more beautiful performances than one motivated primarily by career advancement. The teacher who enjoys sharing knowledge inspires more learning than one focused solely on test scores and evaluations. The paradox resolves itself. By releasing our grip on predetermined outcomes, we often achieve results that surpass what careful planning might have produced. By finding satisfaction in present activity rather than future rewards, we create conditions that naturally generate positive future possibilities. By treating our lives as ongoing creative expressions rather than problems to be solved, we discover resources and opportunities that goal-oriented thinking tends to overlook. The musical metaphor ultimately reveals that existence itself is fundamentally creative, improvisational, and open-ended. Just as jazz musicians create something beautiful and meaningful, without knowing exactly where the music will lead, we can engage with our lives as ongoing experiments in conscious expression, remaining responsive to emerging possibilities while contributing our unique voices to the collective human symphony. The performance is happening now. We are both the musicians and the music, and every moment offers a new opportunity to play our part with skill, presence, and joy.